and they're incredibly influential. You only have to look at that photo from Pope Francis's funeral, where President Trump and President Zelensky sat to talk about peace in the Ukraine. I think that demonstrates, firstly, why there's so many embassies here. You have over 180 countries with formal diplomatic relations with the Vatican, and why so many have resident ambassadors, because their level of influence is incredibly high. It's in areas that matter to us and it matters to Australia, and that's one of the reasons we're here.
47 left Saudi Arabia this morning. The prince was so sad to see him go, he rode along in the beast and waved goodbye at the gate. But it's not goodbye, it's see you later.
But from all reports, he appears a very charismatic individual. He is obviously passionate about peace around the world. In fact, the first words that he said when he was announced as Pope was, "Peace be with you all."
The president came in, hit the ground running. His team has put in endless amount of time and effort to bring an actual war, the bloodiest war on the European continent since World War II, to a hopeful end. It's complicated, it's messy, but we're seeing real progress forward. And again, you know, this is the president is juggling Europe, he's juggling the Middle East, and he's juggling the Indo-Pacific. You know, yes. And you know, we're just grateful to him because, again, this is just in 120 days we're seeing progress that we didn't see for years under Biden.
We gotta go.
Well, look, a rare moment of truth maybe for CNN, or a different side of things. Viewers have been left shocked after one of their hosts praised the president for his ability to essentially close the southern border. CNN's Abby Phillip had this to say on the network.
Trump has succeeded. He has shut the border down. There are no border crossings virtually happening right now.
Brianna, if CNN is even admitting it, it just goes to show how much of a success Border Patrol has been under President Trump.
And when we get the Saudis to pump more oil, it'll drive the price down, starve Russia's war machine, and force Putin to the negotiating table and end the war in Ukraine. We're also selling these Arabs chips, weapons, and if Netanyahu settles the war in Gaza, the Gulf states will re-up the Abraham Accords, and we can all do business with Israel. Everyone will be doing business together, Jews, Muslims, and the United States.
So let's kick off with your thoughts on the Donald Trump 4-day tour through the Middle East, through Qatar, through Saudi. What did you make of it? Tell us your thoughts.
Just an extraordinary tour de force. Some are describing it as the most extraordinary diplomacy the White House has exercised in over a generation. And much was made of the fact that Israel was not visited during this trip. But I think all of this alignment and deepening of alliances is ultimately going to benefit the state of Israel. And President Trump most likely had that very much in mind during his visits.
Caroline.
Kanta, you mentioned that, you know, President Trump didn't visit Israel. There's been a lot of talk of an apparent rift between him and Benjamin Netanyahu, the Prime Minister of Israel. And there has been criticism of his acceptance of this gift of a jumbo jet from the Qataris. He's seen to shake hands with dictators. People, obviously, the new interim Syrian president links to Al. Do you see, though, that this new type of diplomacy paying off in terms of peace for the region, or do you have concerns that maybe he's putting his trust in the wrong people?
So, yes, I mean, al-Shara, the leader of Syria, he was aligned with and a member of and he has taken an extraordinary opportunity, and that's because President Trump indicated the era of neocon politics, of nation building through destruction, that is in America's past, and the Middle East also has a different way of achieving things, and they are succeeding. I think that this could not only be successful for the U.S. and the Middle East, it is going to realign the entire global South, and that region, which does include Israel. I think we're going to see Syria joining the Abraham Accords. I think we're going to see Lebanon. There's talk of Azerbaijan. Ultimately, Saudi Arabia will. There needs to be some form of Palestinian statehood before that happens. Ultimately, that is going to become an economic engine for the global South, which is where the population of the world is growing in the next decade. So we are going to come back and look at this as a historic visit.
I have a very good friend on my left. He said, do you mind if I invite just a few guests? And do you mind shaking hands with them just before dinner? I said, sure. I didn't know you were going to have 400 people. No, it's an honor. So I know so many of you, so many great people.
Then the Qataris started speaking Trump's language.
Together, the U.S. and Qatar are feeding and fueling the world. This energy partnership alone is also valued over $1.5 trillion. So we have been drilling for the last 4 years. I'm glad to have you back on board.
Qatar's pumping oil and sending us the money. $1.2 trillion? Not a bad thing for a day in Doha. Qatar put in the biggest order for Boeings ever. 210. That's $100 billion. But this trip isn't all about money. Trump did something no president has done in 25 years. He met with Syria's president, who used to be a bad guy, but now he's our bad guy. Trump won't inherit Biden's foreign policy.
But Quanta, you mentioned some form of Palestinian state. That's fairly ambiguous. And it goes to the heart of the matter as far as Israel is concerned, and security, and getting rid of Hamas, and of course the threat of Iran having a nuclear bomb. So all of that is tied in very much to that. Do you think that part of the rift that Caroline mentioned with Netanyahu is because Trump is now leaning on Israel to form some kind of Palestinian state within its borders?
I don't know, and I have no access to those conversations of any kind. I don't describe any kind of distance. I think President Trump has made it very clear his primary allegiance is to the American people. I don't know where the Palestinian state will be. I don't know what that territory is going to be. But I do know there has to be a two-nation for two-people solution. And that future state has to recognize Israel unambiguously. And I also believe in the Arab world there is an appetite for a demilitarized Palestinian sovereign state in the future. It will not be permitted to have this kind of armaments, or perhaps even any armaments. And that's something that needs to be solved.
Tell us what the meaning of that is, that hair-waving ceremony. Donald Trump loved it, but yeah, what does it mean?
Do you know, I have never seen that anywhere in the Middle East. I wasn't aware of it, and I'm sorry to say I didn't even read about it.
Quanta, apparently it's for one of the highest honors you can pay. It's a gesture of grace, pride, and spiritual blessing, which symbolizes honor and purity of intent. So it's a big thing, and it's normally only reserved for kings and monarchs. So there you go. There you go.